Post your wins. Announce your goals to the world. Let them know your name. We live in an era that aggressively worships noise. If you do not broadcast your daily grind on social media, if you do not loudly talk about your upcoming projects, the modern world tells you that you are falling behind. We have been trained to believe that visibility is power, that transparency is authority, that you must always show your cards to get ahead. But step back from the screen. Look at the people who shout the loudest about their big plans, their upcoming business ideas, their massive, life-altering dreams. How many of them actually deliver? Why is it that the people who broadcast their intentions the most are almost always the ones who end up stuck in the exact same place year after year? It is because noise is a psychological trap. Every time you open your mouth to announce what you are going to do next, your brain receives a cheap, premature hit of dopamine. You experience the satisfaction of winning before you have even stepped onto the battlefield. You exhaust your internal drive, maintaining an illusion of importance for a crowd of spectators who do not care about your survival. You waste your fuel on the horn and leave nothing for the engine. But the worst part about being loud is not just that it makes you complacent, it is that it makes you exposed. It makes you entirely predictable. 2,500 years ago in ancient China, a general named Sun Tzu looked at the bloody chaos of the warring states and distilled it into a single law of victory. He served under the kingdom of Wu during one of the most violent, fractured periods in Chinese history, a time when smaller states were being swallowed whole by larger ones, when a single miscalculated battle could erase a kingdom from the map within a season.
Sun Tzu fought in this world and by most historical accounts never lost a campaign he commanded.
He codified what he learned into a text that has outlasted every empire that has ever tried to use it, the art of war. There is a story attached to him, recorded by the historian Sima Qian, that tells you everything about how he thought before he ever picked up a weapon. The king of Wu, testing him, handed him a company of palace concubines and ordered him to turn them into disciplined soldiers. When they laughed instead of following orders, Sun Tzu had two of the king's own favorites executed on the spot, simply to prove that discipline applies even when the king himself does not want it to. The remaining women fell silent and drilled perfectly. He never raised his voice once. The lesson was never about violence. It was about the absolute cold authority of a man who does not need to shout to be obeyed. Sun Tzu was not a blunt warrior who relied on mindless aggression or dramatic displays of force. He understood that the ultimate master does not win by fighting harder or shouting louder. The ultimate master wins by rendering his opponent completely helpless before the conflict even begins. Sun Tzu wrote a line that should be carved into the mind of every person trying to build a position of strength in the modern world. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. Think about the weight of those words, dark and impenetrable as night. He is commanding you to deliberately vanish from the radar of society, to step away from the need for constant validation, to close your mouth and pull a thick, unbreakable fog over your true intentions. He understood that the moment your enemy knows what you are thinking, you have already handed them the weapon to destroy you. In a world obsessed with oversharing, moving in absolute silence is the ultimate contrarian weapon. It is a psychological cheat code. When you are loud about your ambitions, your rivals, even the people in your own circle who quietly envy your drive, can map your trajectory. They can predict your reactions, analyze your weaknesses, prepare their countermoves. You are handing them the blueprint to your own defeat. But when you become entirely quiet, when you stop posting your progress, stop bragging about your revenue, stop explaining your choices to people who haven't earned the right to know them, you become a phantom, a black box. Your life becomes unreadable. Your competitors cannot counter a strategy they cannot see. They cannot defend against an attack they do not know is coming. While they are performing for the crowd, trying to look powerful and relevant, you are working in the shadows, unbothered, undetected, building real, undeniable leverage. This is the leverage the loud, validation-seeking modern world will never understand. When you become completely silent, people do not know whether you are winning or losing. They do not know if you are resting, plotting, or building an empire. That lack of information forces others to speculate. Some underestimate you. Others overestimate you. Almost all of them waste energy trying to understand what you are doing instead of focusing on what they should be doing. Sun Tzu wrote that all warfare is based on deception. But the highest form of deception is not a complicated lie. It is absolute emptiness. Silence forces your rivals to project their own deepest insecurities onto you. They start overthinking your every move. They wonder why you are not bragging. They wonder what you know that they don't. While they burn their mental energy trying to read your blank face, you are calmly analyzing their chaotic behavior. You force them to play chess against a ghost. This isn't merely poetic philosophy. Modern psychology, economics, and strategic theory all describe the same underlying principle in different language. Modern game theory, without ever quoting a Chinese general, has confirmed the exact mechanism underneath this. Economists call it information asymmetry. The simple, brutal fact that whoever holds more information about a negotiation, a market, or a conflict holds the structural advantage, regardless of who is more talented or more resourced. Poker players understand this instinctively. A player with a terrible hand who reveals nothing can still take the pot from a player with a strong hand who can't stop telegraphing his excitement. The cards rarely decide the table. The information leaking off your face usually does. Every time you announce your plan online, you are voluntarily handing your opponents information they would otherwise have had to work to extract from you. You are doing their reconnaissance for them, for free, and calling it marketing. Picture two people building toward the same kind of success, a business, a skill, a reputation, in the same competitive space. The first person treats every milestone as content. The new client gets announced. The early traction gets screenshotted and posted with a caption about grinding in silence, which is its own quiet contradiction nobody notices. Every setback gets turned into a vulnerable, relatable story for the algorithm. Within months, anyone paying attention, competitors included, could draw an almost complete map of this person's strategy, their cash flow, their morale, their exact pressure points. When a rival decides to undercut them or copy their approach, they don't need to guess where to strike. The target painted the bullseye on himself, slide by slide. The second person posts nothing, not because they're ashamed and not because they're hiding something illegal, simply because they understand that every detail shared is a detail handed to someone who has not earned it and may use it against them. Months pass. To outside observers, this person looks stalled, even invisible. There is no proof of momentum to point to, no algorithm rewarding them with attention, no validation trickling in. But underneath that silence, the actual structural work, the contracts, the skill repetitions, the slow accumulation of leverage, continues completely undisturbed, because no rival has ever had a clear enough picture to interfere with it. When this person finally does something publicly undeniable, launches, ships, signs, it arrives with no warning and no counter-strategy waiting for it, because nobody ever saw it coming. The first person spent their entire campaign handing the enemy a live map. The second person made sure the enemy was still squinting at a blank page on the day the thunderbolt landed. Every time you tell someone your next move, you bleed power. Think of your internal drive like steam trapped inside a heavy iron boiler. Keep your mouth shut, and the pressure builds. It expands. It creates an intense, uncomfortable heat inside your mind. That pressure is meant to be converted into raw execution. It is meant to drive you out of bed, force you to focus, compel you to do the grueling, invisible work. But the moment you vent that steam, bragging to a friend, posting an aesthetic video of your grind, seeking casual approval, you open the valve, the pressure escapes. You feel light, relieved, prematurely satisfied. You have tricked your brain into believing the job is already done. Loud people vent their pressure through their words. Silent people condense that pressure until it turns into concrete reality. This is the fourth piece of a weapon this channel has been assembling for a while now. Musashi taught you to remove feeling from effort. Lao Tzu taught you to remove force from outcome. Tsunetomo taught you to remove hope from fear. Sun Tzu is teaching you to remove information from exposure. Different battlefields, same architecture. Every one of these men understood that the untrained person gives something away for free, a feeling, a grip, a hope, a word, and the trained person simply stops handing it over. Sun Tzu's contribution is the most practical of the four, because it is the only one your enemies can actually exploit directly. Musashi's discipline only fails him. Sun Tzu's silence, if broken, fails you to someone else's advantage. There is a line buried deeper in the art of war that is quoted far less often than the thunderbolt line, but matters just as much. Sun Tzu wrote that the supreme excellence in war is not winning 100 battles. It is subduing your enemy without ever needing to fight at all. Read that again, slowly. He is not glorifying combat. He is telling you that the entire goal of strategy is to engineer a position so overwhelming, so quietly dominant, that the fight itself becomes unnecessary. Translate that into your own life. The goal is never to win the argument with your doubters. The goal is to make the argument irrelevant by the time it would have happened, to have already built the thing, signed the deal, mastered the craft, while they were still busy deciding whether to take you seriously. In your life tomorrow, practicing the art of war means a strict protocol of strategic invisibility. It means you stop defending your reputation to critics who do not matter. It means you drop the exhausting need to correct people who misjudge your trajectory. If society thinks you are failing, let them. If your old friends think you have lost your spark because you stopped showing up to their superficial gatherings, let them celebrate your absence. Sun Tzu gave us a deadly piece of advice. When we are near, we must make the enemy believe we are far away. When we are strong, we must make them believe we are weak. Let the world underestimate you. Arrogance is the greatest sleeping pill in human psychology. When your competitors assume you are defeated, they become soft, careless, lazy. They lower their shields. They stop watching their flanks. They invite their own destruction because their fragile egos cannot conceive of a threat they cannot hear. This is precisely why being underestimated should feel less like an insult and more like cover. Every person who quietly writes you off as irrelevant has just removed themselves from your list of active threats. They are no longer watching you, no longer adjusting around you, no longer treating you as a variable worth tracking. You have effectively become invisible on their internal radar while remaining completely visible to yourself. The amateur spends their energy correcting that perception, desperate to be taken seriously by people whose seriousness was never going to determine the outcome anyway. The strategist lets the misperception calcify, because every day it goes uncorrected is another day of unguarded movement. While they sleep in their comfort, blinded by the illusions of their own loud voices, your hidden labor reaches its peak. You do not issue a warning. You do not drop a hint on social media. You do not give them time to prepare a counter strategy. You simply strike. The new venture launches. The contract is signed. The elite level of mastery is revealed. The massive financial pivot is completed. When you finally step out of the fog, you do not gently tap them on the shoulder asking for recognition. You fall upon the landscape like a sudden, terrifying thunderbolt. By the millisecond they realize you are even playing the game, you have already walked away with the crown. Stop looking for a cheering section for a war you are meant to fight in total isolation. Stop wasting your life force trying to convince modern society that you are important. True dominance does not need an audience. True power does not require a camera to validate its existence. Notice too that this is not an instruction to become cold or isolated from the people who actually matter to you. Sun Tzu was not telling his generals to trust no one. He was telling them to be deliberate about exactly who earns access to the map. There is a difference between intimacy and exposure. Share your real plans with a small handful of people who have proven they can hold them without leaking them into the world's gossip economy. Withhold them from the algorithm, from the acquaintance who only wants a story to repeat, from the rival dressed up as a well-wisher. Silence toward the crowd and honesty with your inner circle are not contradictions. They are the same discipline, aimed in two different directions. The clock is ticking, and every second you spend explaining what you are going to do is a second stolen from your own execution. Close the door, mute the noise, disappear from the grid. Let them hear your name only when your victory has already rewritten their reality. Musashi swung without needing to feel ready. Lao Tzu flowed without needing the current to bend. Tsunetomo walked without needing hope to survive him, and Sun Tzu moved without ever needing anyone to see him coming. 4 different weapons. One mind, sharpened from 4 different directions, built entirely out of what the untrained version of you has always been desperate to give away for free. The time for talking is completely over. The silent countdown has begun. Get to work.